On this second weekend of Advent, John the Baptist and his message helps all of us today. By that, I mean he helps us discover the role in which we are about to play, that we are called to prepare for the Lord's coming. It's not just a matter of preparing ourselves personally for that coming, but rather it's a time of preparation, a time of hope, a hope that trusts in our God who has promised us salvation. And so, how are we to hope forms the core of what John the Baptizer shouted out today to his hearers. Because to hope, he claimed, is to reform your lives in order to be on the watch in expectation, to be on the lookout for any sight of Jesus' return in the midst of his absence and in the silence around us. But yet we might be confused. We're filled with anguish. We wonder why God is so absent from our world. And so we have to stop amidst the hectic craziness of this time of year and remind us of God, the hopes he has for you and me. Because it's our hopes and our dreams, which hopefully are God's dreams and hopes for each of us as we journey in this Advent season. And so we join the psalmist this night in the midst of our anguish and frustrations in calling upon God to give good judgment to the King, to soften our leaders, to be responsive, especially to God's special chosen ones. And if God is going to inspire the king, then the royal leader should have pity for the lowly and the poor, because then the lives of the poor he will indeed save. As the scriptures tell us, justice shall flourish in his time, and the courage of such hope, such preparation calls our God to be our God in the midst of his word and to fulfill the promise that he has made to all of us. And so if you and I have the patience, the courage to be on the watch these weeks of Advent for Christ's presence, then we must put ourselves on the alert for his return. Because we know that our God already has come to us in the gift of Jesus, his Son. God has irreversibly committed himself to our cause, to forgive us, to strengthen us, to invite us, to call us to hope and patience. He calls us to utter the words of Jesus Christ every day. And it's because of that hope, then, that it demands that God keep his word to you and me. The Jews knew God by the faithfulness to his promises. They believed that whatever he promised, God would be faithful to. But the Gentiles, however, they came to know God by his mercy, as St. Paul tells us in the scriptures tonight. The mercy we experience ushers all of us into the mystery of our God's faithful promises that will be fulfilled in the birth of Jesus the Christ. Think about what John the Baptist did. He recognizes what is to come, Christ the Lord. And John the Baptist shouts out that we must be posturing that sense of waiting, that we must be freed of the distractions around us, and that we, with open eyes, must reform our lives, as he says tonight. Because John's mantle of camel hair has now fallen upon your and my shoulders, and it is we who now must proclaim the closeness of God's kingdom, that we must call one another to reform, to prepare, to make ready. And we do that as we gather in our world today, as heralds in the desert, urgently pleading that the Lord's way be prepared, that you and I, with gifts, talents, and weakness, do what we are called to prepare and make ready, because the one who is coming is more powerful than we are. That in itself should give us hope. because we're not worthy to carry the sandals. And thus we call out, we shout out, as John the Baptist did, prepare the way of the Lord, reform your lives. What do we do then to make ready for this event? Because according to St. Matthew and St. Paul, we must prepare for salvation, for the coming of the kingdom of God. And the trademarks of that kingdom are justice and healing. It's a community built with harmony. It's courage and hope all blended together. Because those who feel they have a special place merely because of who they are, their social status, or their ancestry, John the Baptist warns them they need to hear the message again and again. And so the time of the kingdom hopefully will be marked by healing from brokenness, where life has been shattered. Hopefully it will be a time when we will lose the burning desire for revenge, for getting back at those who maybe have harmed us. It will be a time when nation will put themselves at the service of the poor, when kings or rulers will be more concerned about justice than about violence and war. Are we ready to do what John the Baptist asks? Do we have the courage, the patience, and the strength that is needed? John announced a water baptism with his call and his invitation to all as a way to prepare for the kingdom. And you and I, we can't hesitate, because the water, when you think about it, it might be cold. Or maybe there might be a crowd in front of us and we're embarrassed. But if we find ourselves in any way on these grounds broken and shattered, it's then that we will find a world desperately in need of peace, desperately yearning for hope. And so there's no need to hesitate. We need not wait. We must go and do as the Baptist said, reform each of our lives. You and I, we're longing for the coming of the Messiah. The Advent season quickly will pass us by, because these days hopefully bring us the opportunity to prepare, the opportunity for hope, an opportunity to reform, to change, to grow, to seek conversion and reconciliation. Hopefully, we're willing to use the weeks wisely. The first week is gone. Did we do anything to prepare the way for the Lord? As we sit here tonight, sinners and saints, in a world in need of strength and hope, the gift of peace, as we sit here amidst the words of the Baptist, reform your ways. Let us take up the cause. Let us clean up our lives. Let us take the time to prepare, to make ready, because the Lord has given us what we need. He's given us the water. Now let's be cleansed, renewed by our baptism, so that all of our lives will mark this day as we shout, prepare the way, reform our lives, make ready, because Christ the Lord will come to all of us.